Do you have any idea what's in your backpack? The principal's voice cut through the room like a blade. Jalen Carter sat in the cold, windowless office of Westfield Middle School, his palms sweating against the worn fabric of his jeans. His backpack, the same one he'd carried every day for the past 2 years, sat on the table between him and two adults who were clearly not on his side, Principal Harris and Officer Deeks, the school resource officer, with a badge and a loaded silence. He didn't know why he was there. 10 minutes ago, he'd been in math class. Now, his heart was slamming like a drum, and the room smelled like stale coffee and fear. I have my charger, my notebooks, my lunch, Jalen stammered. Harris folded her arms. So nothing that doesn't belong to you? Jalen's mouth opened, then shut. Officer Deeks reached for the backpack. Jalen watched as the zipper was pulled open like a wound. Out came his books, his pencil case, then a white MacBook charger, thick cord, slightly frayed, with a faint orange sticker on it. Principal Harris held it up like it was a smoking gun. This, she said, was reported missing from Miss Langston's classroom this morning, from her desk drawer. Jalen blinked. That's mine. I swear, I've had that forever. My brother gave it to me. Deeks leaned in. You're saying your brother gave you a charger with a school property tag on it? Jalen stared at the orange sticker, heart plummeting. He'd never noticed it before. 12 hours earlier, Jalen was running late, again. It was barely light outside when he sprinted down Elm Street, hoodie half-zipped, his half-eaten Pop-Tart clenched in his teeth. His mom had already left for her second job, and his dad hadn't been around in years. His backpack bounced against his back, heavy with books, and the old MacBook charger he borrowed from his older brother, Malik. Malik was in community college and always losing his stuff, but Jalen had found the charger in a drawer at home 2 days ago and claimed it. By third period, the day was normal. He cracked jokes with his friend Tyler in the back of class. They talked about the new Call of Duty update and how dumb it was that they still had to use approved calculators for algebra. But in fourth period, things changed. Miss Langston, a tightly wound science teacher with a sharp tongue, stood at her desk, blinking at her open drawer. My charger is missing, she said, her voice clipped, and it better come back by the end of the day. That's all she said, but the room went quiet. Jalen didn't think about it again until lunch. That's when Tyler leaned over the table, voice low. Dude, Langston told Harris it was stolen, and they're saying it was someone in our class. Jalen laughed. Man, who'd steal a charger? Tyler shrugged. White MacBook 1, orange sticker. She said it's labeled. Jalen froze. No way. There were probably dozens like it. It didn't mean anything, right? Back in the office, Jalen was trying to breathe without sounding like he was gasping. It's just a charger, he said, voice cracking. It doesn't prove anything. Harris frowned. We're taking theft seriously. We'll be calling your mother. I didn't steal anything. Officer Deeks leaned back in his chair. You sure you want to stick to that story? Jalen felt like he was shrinking. He'd never been in trouble before. He got mostly B's, played on the basketball team, helped his little sister with her spelling homework. None of it mattered. They saw the skin, the hoodie, the charger. That was enough. At home, when his mom got the call, she didn't yell. She just stared at him. I left you alone for 10 hours, she said, more tired than angry. And this is what I come home to? Jalen tried to explain. She just shook her head and walked into the kitchen. Later, as he lay in bed, Jalen stared at the ceiling fan spinning above him. It wasn't about the charger. It wasn't even about Ms. Langston. It was about how fast everything shifted, how quickly people decided who you were based on nothing but fear and assumption. He closed his eyes. His stomach was tight. The school told his mom he might be suspended. And someone, maybe a teacher, maybe a student, had started whispering the word thief. The silence that followed. No one talked to Jalen the next morning, not Tyler, not anyone on the basketball team. He sat in homeroom with headphones in and music off. The worst part wasn't that they believed he stole it. It was that no one seemed to care whether he had or not. Just after lunch, he was called to Harris's office again, but this time, someone else was there. A teacher he barely knew, Ms. Ramirez. She taught English, always quiet, always grading papers. But today, she looked determined. "I asked to speak with you," she said, locking eyes with Harris, "because I think there's something very wrong with how this situation is being handled." Jalen looked between them, confused. Ramirez turned to him. "I believe you, Jalen," she said softly, "and I'm going to help prove you didn't steal anything." For the first time in 2 days, Jalen felt the knot in his chest loosen. But what came next would drag the entire school into the light, and not everyone would like what they'd find. Ms. Ramirez didn't raise her voice in Principal Harris's office. She didn't need to. "I've reviewed the hallway cameras," she said calmly, "and I'd like to share something." Principal Harris stiffened in her seat. Jalen sat frozen, unsure if this was going to get better or worse. "I noticed," Ramirez continued, "that after third period, the door to Miss Langston's classroom was unlocked for over 10 minutes. Several students walked by. Some even glanced inside. But only one entered the room." Jalen's pulse quickened. It wasn't Jalen. The footage. Miss Ramirez had access to limited surveillance as a department head. It took some polite fighting and an hour in the admin building, but she got it. She had cropped the footage and now, in the office, she held up her phone. A blurry but clear enough video played. 11:48 a.m. A tall white student in a varsity jacket stepped through the open classroom door and quickly shut it behind him. 37 seconds passed. Then he came out again, hands in pockets, walking quickly. Miss Ramirez tapped the screen to pause. "That's Chase Maddox, quarterback, 8th grade." Harris frowned. "We don't know what he was doing. That's not proof." "Neither is a sticker on a charger," Ramirez replied. "But you made your decision quickly with Jalen." Officer Deeks looked uncomfortable. Jalen's heart thudded. "Chase? Why would?" He stopped. He already knew the answer. Because Chase Maddox could do anything and walk away from it. Because Chase once shoved a kid in the locker room and got extra laps as punishment. Because Chase's dad was the school board president. A new fight. That afternoon, Jalen sat in Ramirez's classroom after school. The other students had left. She handed him a small bottle of juice from her desk and sat down across from him. "I'm sorry," she said. "No one should have gone through that without someone in their corner." Jalen didn't know what to say, so he just nodded. "I'm going to request a formal review of the accusation," she said. "But we need more than footage. We need facts. Something Chase can't walk away from." Jalen looked up. "But everyone already thinks I did it." "I know," she said. "That's why we don't wait for the truth to spread. We make it heard." The Whisper Network. By the next day, whispers were changing direction. Some students had seen the footage Ramirez made sure word leaked. Some knew about Chase in the classroom. A few even admitted they'd seen him walking with a charger that afternoon. But no one wanted to say it aloud. Jalen sat in silence at lunch, again alone, until Tyler walked over. "Hey," Tyler muttered, not meeting his eyes. "I didn't think it was you. I just didn't know." Jalen didn't answer. The betrayal still stung. Later that day, someone shoved a note into his locker. "I saw Chase in Langston's room too. He came out and was hiding something in his hoodie. Don't tell anyone it was me." No name, but it was enough. Ms. Ramirez submitted a full report to the assistant superintendent. And then everything exploded. Pushback. The next morning, Jalen's mom got a call not from the school, but from a lawyer. Not hers. Chase Maddox's father had heard about the allegations and claimed his son was being targeted unfairly based on jealousy and unfounded rumor. Principal Harris summoned Ms. Ramirez to her office. "This is getting out of hand," Harris said. "You're putting your position at risk." Ramirez didn't flinch. "And you're putting a child's future at risk to protect someone with power." The footage is inconclusive. The accusation against Jalen was based on less. Harris paused. You're making this personal. It is personal. Because I've watched this school assume the worst of boys who look like Jalen, and the best of boys who look like Chase for years. Harris stood, but said nothing. Official review. The district initiated a formal review. Jalen, his mother, Ms. Ramirez, and Chase were all called in separately. Jalen sat outside the conference room with his knees shaking. Chase walked by, smug smile on his face, earbuds in, like he was heading to a pep rally. But Ramirez was ready. She brought the footage, the anonymous locker note, witness testimony, and a copy of Jalen's attendance records showing he never even left his seat between classes. Later that week, the district released a statement. Due to insufficient evidence, all accusations against student Jalen Carter have been formally dismissed. No further action will be taken. But that wasn't enough. Jalen wasn't suspended, but the damage wasn't erased. Some teachers still looked at him sideways. A few students muttered, "Lucky break," under their breath. Even though the accusation was dropped, the weight of it lingered. Chase never apologized. He even made a joke in gym class a week later. "Better check my bag, coach. I might get blamed again." Everyone laughed. Except Jalen. One good thing. The following Monday, Miss Ramirez invited Jalen to her classroom after school. "I have a favor to ask," she said. "We're organizing a new student forum about justice, fairness, accountability. I want you to speak." Jalen's eyes widened. "Me?" She nodded. "You lived it. People need to hear you." He hesitated. "Even if they don't believe me?" "Especially then." And then it happened. 3 days before the forum, Jalen found a note on his desk in English class. It was written in clumsy, slanted handwriting. "I took the charger. I'm sorry. Please don't ruin my life." No name, no signature, but written on school-branded paper, the kind teachers kept on their desks. Ramirez held the note in her hands, brow furrowed. "This isn't over," she said. And she was right. Because what started as a stolen charger was about to uncover something much bigger than anyone expected. The note sat on Miss Ramirez's desk like a live wire. Jalen read it 5 times before speaking. "I took the charger. I'm sorry. Please don't ruin my life." It wasn't enough. Not after what he'd been through. Not after being dragged out of class, interrogated, doubted, and left alone in the cafeteria for 2 weeks. But it was something. A spark. A thread to pull. Miss Ramirez folded the note and placed it into a clear evidence envelope from her filing cabinet. "We're not stopping here," she said. "Not this time." The writing. She compared handwriting samples from students in Jalen's class. Most were easy to eliminate a different slant, different style. Then she found a match. Chase Maddox. His writing on a group project from a week ago used the same odd capital R's, the same long-tailed IS. Jalen didn't want to believe it at first, even after everything. "He actually wrote it?" he asked. Miss Ramirez nodded, most likely in panic. "He thought you'd go public." Jalen sat back, silent. Somehow, this made it worse. It wasn't just about what Chase had done, it was the way he'd tried to wriggle out again, hoping to stay hidden, anonymous, untouchable. Ramirez sent a copy of the note to the district office with her findings. This time, the school couldn't ignore it. The meeting. Chase Maddox was pulled into a closed-door meeting with his parents, Principal Harris, and a district investigator. No media, no announcement, no apology. But news spread anyway. Word leaked that the handwriting had matched. That Chase had admitted to taking the wrong charger by mistake. That his parents were disappointed and had agreed to remove him from the football team for the rest of the semester. Jalen watched it unfold from the sidelines. No one talked to him directly, but everyone looked at him. Some with guilt, some with pity, a few with something like respect. But none of it erased the humiliation. The forum, the student forum, was held in the school auditorium. It was packed not because everyone cared, but because everyone was curious. Jalen stepped up to the mic. He wore a simple hoodie, no speech in hand. For 2 seconds, he just breathed. Then he spoke. A lot of people think this all started because of a charger, but it didn't. It started because someone saw me, a black kid with a backpack, and assumed I didn't belong. I didn't get the benefit of the doubt. I got interrogated, accused. I watched people who knew me say nothing. And when the truth came out, no one apologized. So I'm not here to say it's okay. I'm here to say this happens all the time, and we need to stop pretending it doesn't. Silence followed. Then applause. Real applause. Ramirez stood in the back, tears in her eyes. Fallout. Chase never returned to Westfield. His parents quietly transferred him to a private school for a fresh start. No charges were filed. No public statement was made. Principal Harris kept her position, but the district assigned a new equity officer to oversee school policy. Jalen's mom received a letter, not an apology, but a vague acknowledgement that the situation could have been handled with greater care. Jalen read it once, then threw it in the trash. Moving forward, Jalen started writing. At first, just thoughts, short, angry sentences, then poetry, then a blog. Ms. Ramirez helped him publish an article in the school newspaper titled, "The Weight of Assumptions." Other students started reaching out, sharing their own stories, some about race, some about class, some about teachers who never listened. Jalen realized something. It had never been just about him. It was about all the kids like him who got labeled too early and believed too little. Senior year. By the time Jalen entered high school, he was different. More guarded, but also more focused. He joined the debate team, applied to writing workshops, and every time someone asked him what he wanted to be, he had an answer. A civil rights lawyer. Not because of what happened to him, but because it shouldn't happen to anyone else. Last word. One afternoon, Miss Ramirez called him into her classroom. It had been almost a year. "I wanted you to have this," she said, handing him a sealed envelope. Inside was a printed copy of the surveillance still, Chase slipping into the classroom, and beneath it, a sticky note in Ramirez's handwriting. "This is how truth begins, with someone brave enough to tell it." Jalen smiled. And for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like a wound. It felt like power. The end.